Hello and welcome to our third update of the Elevate Building campaign. Today I have with me two special guests, staff members at Crown Point Christian. I have Patty Riley, she's our reading specialist, and Kristen Eisenbart serves as our K2 music teacher. Right after Christmas break, we moved into the 4 new classroom spaces, and the two teachers here actually were impacted by that move. I'm just going to begin with Patty. Patty, would you be willing to share with us what challenges you faced before we moved into that new space?
My old space was the space between the atrium and the back of the school, which was the vestibule, an airlock, in other words. And so what would happen is, first of all, the temperature was not regulated in there. So in the beginning of the year, it was really, really warm. At the end of the year, it was warm. During the year, I did have a heater in there, but it would either be really warm or cold. There was not a perfect temperature. So I felt like when the students came in, that was the first thing that would become a distraction to them, was the temperature in the space. The second challenge I had in that space was just the amount of things happening in the atrium. As COVID lessened, there was more things happening. Hot lunches came in. Students were walking by to go to PE. Students were walking by to go to art. At one day of the week, choir meets in the atrium, or I believe 2 days a week, choir meets in the atrium. And so my student during that time would be always sitting there listening to the choir songs as it went by. So as I was working with them on their reading and encouraging them in their reading and working with different letters and sounds, you have the sounds happening in the atrium, which was a huge distraction to the learning environment. So those were the temperature and the distractions from the atrium were the two biggest challenges I faced.
Yeah, and quite honestly, the students, you have, your biggest limiting factor is time, right? As a reading specialist, you only have a small amount of time to work with those kids, and attending during that small amount of time is critical for the success of your program. So thanks for putting up with that, and we're excited that you're in a space where you don't have to engage in those challenges. So thank you. Kristen, I'm wondering if you could share a story with us about how the new space has impacted teaching and learning in your classroom.
Yeah, there's a second grade boy that I noticed last fall was starting to have some behavior issues in music, not participating at the level that he had been before. And as we approached the end of the second quarter, his parents noticed that his grades were a little bit lower, and we were able to work some things out with him. And I saw some small improvements as a result of that. This boy also had a hard time matching pitch in music class. His responses would they would be lower than other kids. And I think he was starting to notice that he wasn't really getting the same positive response from me that other kids do. And I wondered if that was affecting his ability to, participate and feel good about music class. And then we got into our new space in January, and out come all the ORF instruments, which I'm not able to take with me on my cart. And so everybody, of course, wants to play the big one, always. And so we have a system of whose turn it is, and it came to be his turn to play the big one. And he got back there, and I give him a lot of free play time, so they got to create their own music. And then it came time to do the song that we were doing that day. And I always tell the kids that whoever's playing the bass xylophone has to keep the beat a steady beat, and it has to be steady because otherwise the whole song falls apart, like the foundation of a house. If the walls cave in your basement, your whole house goes down. So you have to keep the steady beat. And he got back there and he started to play the beat, and he kept the beat steady all the way through the whole 3-minute song. Didn't speed up, didn't slow down. And since that time, I've really seen like a turn in him. He comes into music class with a smile on his face, and he's found something that he can do in music where he can experience success.
I really appreciated seeing how you're able to implement those and utilize those larger instruments since you're no longer on a cart. And what a blessing it is to see a student develop those gifts and find a place in music. Thanks for sharing. So one update I'd like to share with you is where we are regarding the next edition for Crown Point Christian School. We have submitted paperwork to the state for permits. We anticipate that our building project permit will go through in the next week or so. And once that building project permit goes through, we're going to be breaking ground soon thereafter. The space we're breaking ground on is the classroom space for our fine arts areas. So elementary music, choir, orchestra, and band will have their own classrooms. And we're also going to be building a multi-purpose space. That multi-purpose space is what it is. It's a space where we're going to be able to have large group chapels for our elementary and middle school. We are looking forward to utilizing it for even things like a PE space for our lower elementary students, a flexible learning space for classrooms who would like to have some additional space to do some activities, and then professional development for our teachers, and maybe even an evening dinner or something like that. It's going to be a multiple use space. Finally, that new space is also going to include some additional office space. If you've been in the back office area at Crown Point Christian School, you'll notice that most of our office members have 2 and even 3 people in their office. And we're going to be building some additional office space and some meeting rooms as well. So we're looking forward to utilizing that space. I would like to end this by just thanking the 400 individuals and organizations who've already participated in the Elevate campaign. And I'd like to give everybody an update. To date, we have raised over $3 million, and we have $1 million in pledges towards our $5.6 million goal. If you haven't participated in the campaign yet, I would encourage you to go to elevatecpcs.org and learn more. I'd like to thank you for your prayer supports as we continue to elevate Crown Point Christian School and its children for God's purpose.